On the island of Newfoundland, upon the southwest coast, lies the little town of Virgil, to whom I'll sing this toast. There are so many highlands that lie just off her shore, and when the cold north wind blows, you can hear the billows roar. The people from the village make their living from the sea. They like their independence, it shows that they are free. Some fish in their small boats in the wind, the rain and sleet, while others make their living on the offshore Calder fleet. They've known their share of tragedies down through the years, and when the memories overcome, they show their grief with tears. For they have lost some loved ones to the furies of the seas, for heartaches and heartbreaks are locked in memories. This village has got beauty carved on its rugged shore. 7 miles of pure white sand, who could ask for more? The mountains and the valleys where the rivers run so fast, and the salmon rise to the sportsman's fly as he makes another cast. Tell the people of this village love their native home, for anyone who goes away oh surely will return. Just like that lifelong mystery, the answer you won't know. What makes this rugged village burn so deeply in your soul? What makes this rugged village burn so deeply in your soul?
Good evening, and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight in our stories we have balloon launch, BBS general meeting, coffee break, community center completion, take back the night walk, town council report. Please stay tuned for these stories after this. Try your luck on Wednesday and play TV bingo sponsored by Burgeo Academy. Cards are $6 for $5 and can be bought from any student of Burgeo Academy or most stores around town. On Monday, a balloon launch at the Calder Health Care Center took place to mark the beginning of Baptist Awareness Week. Women gathered in the lobby of the Calder Health Care Center as Lori Porter, Dr. Roxons, and Brenda Strickland spoke about the importance of pap tests and preventing cervical cancer.
And thank you everyone who came. I hope to see some more people because the faces I see here, they are mostly who came for pap tests. That I guess we have the mission from here on to spread the word, not just in your age group, in your family, well, in the entire community. And as you very well know, because nowadays it is so much material handed out and internet is available, that everyone who is interested to know what pap smear is can find it out. So pap smear is a screening for abnormal cells on the cervix of the uterus or the womb, and cervical cancer. When we are talking about abnormal cells, that is early stage, I would say. When we are talking already cancer, is cancer. The good thing is that cervical cancer, as Lori pointed it out, is one of the cancers which once is detected is curable. And the detection is easy. Basically, the ladies just have to show up and have the test done. It's a simple test, it's not an invasive or a painful test, it's not time consuming, and you don't have to pay for it. So actually it's a gift for all of us. And as you well know, the test is very simple. It takes a couple of minutes. It involves the scraping, gentle scraping of the cervix with a brush, or in older days we had the wooden spatula. Now it is more modern and gentle. And once the test is done, the brush nowadays is put in a little bottle with preservatives and for testing. And here comes another chore for you. You have to call for your report. Because in the good old days, when I started 21 years ago, we used to send in the letter, the reports back home. Well, that service is not available. But any time when you call, we will tell you the test, the result of the test. And this is important because in 21 years, once or twice, the report just never came. It happens, it's human error. So all ladies who are coming for the pap smear, usually we are advising them in 4 weeks' time, please call for your reports. If it is positive or something is not right, you can be sure that I am going to contact you and let you know that if it never comes back, I want to know about it. So please call. And this stands for mammograms and the rest of your blood works and chest x-rays and CT scans. Call for it. We are calling if something is not right. And usually good news is, well, no news is good news, that in case of pap smear, it happens just once or twice, but they never arrive here, so forth. And another thing about pap smears, once you have it done, it doesn't involve any post-test care. It is simple. The waiting list is always open. It takes just a phone call to put your name on the list. And as you well know, I have pap smear clinics every second Friday afternoons. And we can fit in as many pap smears as we need. It is just a call. The indication for pap smears changed a little bit during the years. And nowadays, the newest indication says that ladies should have the pap smears one in every year, and if in 3 consecutive years they have 3 negative pap smears, then according to each individual case, it can be decided if further on they should come yearly or just every 3 years. Now, when do we start with pap smears? The pap smears we usually advise us after the young ladies become sexually active, they should come for pap smears. But everyone should have pap smear at 21. Usually we don't let them go any later. After 65, again, is individually decided if the ladies need to come for pap smear or not. And the newest indication says that if in the last 10 years the respective lady had 3 negative pap smears, then it's individually decided if they should come every 3 years or you just can, or do it on when it needed basis. Of course, these are just general rules, and I always said that in between or any time, if some bothersome symptoms are occurring, or what the women consider this is not normal for me, they are welcome any time. So what you have to take home today is a life-saving test, which is available for free, and you can book it anytime. And it's not an invasive test. It's not like when we are looking for lung cancer, bowel cancer. It's very, very simple. The cervical cancer is a slow-growing cancer, so it's easily detectable. And because it's slow-growing, I could say 99.9% is curable. So, one more thing that I would like to mention here. Who are those who are at the highest risk for developing cervical cancer? They are the young girls who become sexually active, the books say, before the age of 18, those who have multiple partners, and those who have partners who have multiple partners, and those who are HIV positive. Thanks God, we don't have that. And it is another category who is at risk, and those are the people whose immune system is compromised. And here we have those who are on steroid treatment, those who have organ transplant, and those who are on chemotherapy. And in the latest 10 years, another thing that came to light, and that is the HPV infection. The infection with human papillomavirus. And unfortunately, without symptoms, they said 75% of the active female population, knowing or not knowing, they go or they have an HPV infection. And this human papillomavirus is one of the viruses which can later cause cervical cancer. So nowadays, in all those women who are showing on the pap smear any cell abnormalities, the system automatically is checking them for HPV. Once they have the HPV infection, it's not much we can do about it. The prevention is important, and that's why in a young age, it is available, the vaccine. How many pap smears do you think we get back positive with the normal cells avoiding cancer? I don't have the actual Canadian statistics, that I just got one from the US, and they say that 6% of all pap smears done turn back positive. So that is quite a big number. So it's worth having it. Is a gift for us, and it can save our lives. So keep that in mind, and keep on calling. I am here for another couple of years, and if for some reason you cannot come at the regular clinic, we are very understanding. We are going to keep you in. Mom, if they are calling for their daughters who are away for school and coming home for weekend or for the holiday season, we are here. So it's just a phone call away, and give yourself that gift every year. Thank you for listening, and thanks for coming.
BBS held its general meeting on Tuesday night. Only 2 people from the community was in attendance. The president, George Reed, explained about the company and the works that have been going on. The whole board was then terminated, and an election of new members took place. 6 members were elected. The fire department held a coffee break on Wednesday morning in aid of Alzheimer's Society. Only 4 people showed up for this. The fire department has been doing this now for the past 3 years. Along with coffee, donuts was also served. The work on the community center is now completed. Lions Max Pink invited me up to the community center to talk about what was done and to show me around. Good evening, Max.
Hi.
I noticed that the community center work is clearing up now. Everything's going with that.
Oh, it's going fantastic, really. Yes, you're right in saying it's cooling up. As a matter of fact, tomorrow it do cool up. Tomorrow, Thursday, then, 28th of this month, we're all finished the project.
Oh, perfect. So what prompted this project to come about, Max?
Well, actually, there was a huge need for this project, Maxine. Down the basement area, especially around the eastern end. Yes, the basement was really what was rotten, basically down the structural part of the basement there.
Okay.
The 2x4, 2x6, sleepers, plywood. Basically, you take 2x4 and crack it off with your hands. It's just something that had to be attended to sooner than later, for sure. So that's what got the project on the go. Because if we had not got the project for it as such, we would have had to attend to it ourselves. Really.
Okay. So what's your position in this?
Actually, I guess you would call me the project coordinator, I guess, for this particular project.
Okay. So did you receive any funding for this project?
Yes, for sure. We received a fair bit of funding. We have 5 laborers, or not 5 laborers, I'm sorry. We have 5 workers here. We have 1 carpenter, a carpenter's helper, and 3 laborers, really. And we had these these workers here for a 12-week period. And that was, I think, about $25,000, and that was all funded by the Human Resources, Department of Human Resources.
Okay.
And they also put in an extra $5,000. So they came on board to the tune of about $30,000. And the Lioness, they put in $5,000 toward the project. And I guess you could say we handled the lion's share. I think it was anywhere between probably $12,000 and $14,000 that cost us. So really the project in total was bordering on $50,000 project. So it was quite a project as we went on the go again.
Okay. So did you have any problem getting workers, or?
No, because when we started at first, the person that was handling from Port of Aston, Dwight Kittle, he seemed to think it might be a problem getting the people for the project, and because oftentimes it is, because it was not insurable earnings, and that was the biggest problem, or it can be. But in this case, we had 10 names, from which we selected 5, and actually the 5 workers turned out to be quite good workers, and I'm sure the other 5 were probably equally as good. But it's interesting, when those people are working for not big wages, and they do a fantastic job, and these workers were all really good workers. Yes.
Okay. So Max, did you accomplish everything you set out to get done here?
Actually, Maxine, we accomplished that plus, because
that's good.
With the funding that we received from Human Resources and the laborers, well, it enabled us to do a lot of work. But when we had the work completed that we initially set out to do, like the structural part of the building completed and the renovations done there, and we also, of course, knew we were going to put the siding on. That was necessary too, and we put that on there. And after that, we had 5 workers for another, X number of weeks, or probably 5 weeks left then, because they did quite a job on that and got done in jig time.
Yes.
So then we went ahead and, which was also part of our intention, we replaced the windows in the 2 bathrooms, 2 in the kitchen area, and 1 in the boardroom right here. So, and in addition to that, we installed 2 new urinals, which was causing us problems over years. The leakage there, and the plumbing was bad, and one thing and another. So basically, we got 2 new urinals, and then we had some of the flooring, the tiles removed, and some new ones put down in places where it was absolutely, or not absolutely necessary, I guess, but it was really nice to see them there because the other tiles were really in bad condition. And what else did we do? We, right here in the bar area, in the hallway right here, we put new plywood there, finished wood I should say, and in that area, the boardroom we did. And then on the eastern entrance there, you see a sign no doubt that was done by Travis Sternford. A very nice sign.
Okay, yeah.
Artistic person for sure. So thanks, Travis. And they cleared all that area because there was a lot of willows and trees and everything all there. You see it in the building, and now that's open to view. It's really nice out there. So yes, they've done a lot of work over and above what we plan on. And as you see, the bridges, both of these are pressure treated now, and they're pretty good. Okay. And the wheelchair ramp across them in place.
But what year was the original building put here, Max, in case people didn't know?
You're asking me a question, I'm not completely sure, but I believe it was in 77, so you're looking at 33 years.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was put there then. I was actually in Lawrenceville back then. So I guess it's aging me, but I'd only been in it for a couple of years, and I think it was 77 when we moved to this particular building.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to mention about the project, Max?
Pretty much touched on everything. However, again, we can't forget the community because we talked about the monies that we put into it and, you know, the lioness and so forth, but without the community, we would never have these funds to avail of. So at the community help out, you know, tickets, you know, buying the tickets and the bingos, and they can't be thanked enough. So it's actually your work, you know, your help that have allowed us to do this particular project. So I thank the whole community really. And I think that's pretty much it. I just check see if that's some things that and by the way, I should say this is sitting out overnight. That's the only thing I should say is we started this like doing applications. I think it was early in 2010, probably it was February, March, I guess.
Okay.
And it didn't come to, I guess, fruition, I guess you could say, until I guess it was middle of July before we got the final word that the project was a go.
Okay.
And the workers started on the 9th of August, I believe, and they're clearing up tomorrow. So it was quite a lengthy process, but certainly very worthwhile.
Yes, it looks really nice. I noticed the color have changed on the outside now from green to yellow. Is there a particular reason for that, or?
Not terribly so. Really, actually, I have to take blame and credit for that because when we were in the process of selecting the color, it was, you know, in the middle of summer and the way around. So it is Lion's color, so that was, yes, I suppose, some consideration for it, like the yellow sort of thing. So and the blue or the purple, the trim and stuff. So, but other than that, it wasn't. No, it's not really a big issue. I wasn't really for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Max, for telling us all about it.
And thank you very kindly.
Area.
Yeah. Part of that time.
Yeah, a new panel board put on the boardroom here.
Yeah.
New window that was put in. The app committee along with the Girl Guides held a Take Back the Night walk on Thursday night. 60 people participated.
So I'm really glad to see all you women and girls come out to support the walk tonight. I just want to say just a couple words about the walk. It is a walk to basically let people know that women have walked for years and years being afraid. And it's not fair that just because we're women that we would be afraid that we'd be attacked or that we would be assaulted in some way. So this is a symbolic gesture of becoming not afraid and being able to walk without the protection of a man. So I'm really glad to see everybody come out to support that. So it's just a walk basically to symbolize safety. We got a lot of young girls here and we're going to be going off to university or wherever, and I think it's really important for them to get that message too.
It started at the school and went around town.
Yes, it is. Great. What do I do?
After the walk, people gathered at the school gym and had snacks and refreshments. 2 names were drawn for a prize, and they were Terry Lynn Anderson and Sherry Lynn Sibley. Mayor Gerald McDonald came by the studio with his town council report.
Good evening. Your town council report for October 20th, 2010. First of all, I would like to start this evening by reading a proclamation. And this proclamation is circulated by the Canadian Diabetes Association. Proclamation Diabetes Awareness Month and World Diabetes Day. Whereas diabetes is a serious condition, and whereas more than 9 million Canadians live with diabetes or pre-diabetes, and whereas nearly 1 in 4 Canadians either has diabetes or pre-diabetes, and whereas more than 20 people are diagnosed with the disease every hour of every day, and whereas the cost of diabetes in Canada is approximately $12.2 billion and is expected to rise by another $4.7 billion by 2020. And whereas the Canadian Diabetes Association is focusing public attention on the need for funds to lead the fight against diabetes by helping people with diabetes live healthier lives while working to find a cure. Therefore, I, Gerald McDonald, Mayor of Burgeo, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2010 as Diabetes Awareness Month, and November the 14th, 2010 as World Diabetes Day in the town of Burgeo. I call upon all citizens to combat this disease and its life-threatening complications by familiarizing themselves with the diabetes awareness signs, making healthy lifestyle choices, and by assisting the best quality of care available to our citizens with diabetes. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, diabetes is a very serious disease. Therefore, as a result of that, Western Health has applied for funding to start a project to approach this disease, diabetes screening and early detection. And your town council has written a letter in support of Western Health in trying to achieve this goal. So hopefully this project will be approved, and there can be a project in this community and others on the West Coast that will certainly screen diabetes and early detections and certainly help to prevent this disease from becoming serious. Water treatment plant. There are still many problems with the water treatment system. However, Council believes the water has to be treated with chlorine after it leaves the tank. It don't seem like through the community we're picking up any chlorine residue, and we felt that once the water goes in the tank, the chlorinated water starts to, or the strength goes out of the chlorine, so we believe that the water should be chlorinated after it leaves the tank. But with that being said, there's lots of problems up there. in regards to the system operating properly, and we've contacted our engineers and we've asked them to get a report from Fay, the contractor, and we believe it's time for those people to take a serious look at what they're doing up there. Our flow rate has been very reasonable, 141 gallons per minute, so that's a very reasonable flow rate. So the certainly can't use that for an excuse, and hopefully the engineers will get something straight there. But we may in the future have to shut the system down and go back to the old system. I'm not sure of that, but it may happen. But in the meantime, the department has been notified as well, and it's time to for somebody to seriously take a look at this system and get it up and running for the community of Virgil. On your waste management, there's still nothing to report on that. However, we have accumulated in our garbage dump over the summer months a lot of scrap metal, washers, stoves, dryers, and also a lot of vehicles in the other dump as well. So we have contacted the scrap metal company and trying to get them in to scrap this, crushing this metal and take it away from our community, because it's starting to become a eyesore in that area. And as you may be aware, there's a large pile of wood accumulated in our garbage dump. Over the last couple of days now, we've been starting to burn this to get that out of the way as well. It's certainly an eyesore when you pass by the road and look in and see all this wood stocked there as well. So hopefully we can get rid of this by burning it. Your town garage, Cooper's Construction has been doing work on your town garage. It's pretty well completed inside now. There's a new electrical system put in place there, a furnace. The 3 bay doors has arrived in town, so they will get at that next week, I guess. And the garage is in good shape inside. Nevertheless, the roof is in bad shape, and the insurance company did not cover that part of the building. So that's something we will have to look at next year in replacing the roof on that building. Your new pickup truck has arrived in town. It's a 1-ton pickup truck, 1-ton Chev, and it also came completed with a new snowplow blade. And of course, our salt and sand spreader that we purchased last year in January was also damaged in the fire. And the insurance company had to supply us with a new salt and sand spreader, which has arrived in town this week. So we're getting geared up for the winter now, and hopefully we won't get much snow, but if we do, we have new equipment to do our work with. The TIOW project has 1 week left on the program. And this project has gone quite well with the knitting classes and the skills the workers have learned over the number of weeks. And hopefully that some of those workers that were doing knitting will carry on and can create a little business for themselves. That would certainly be nice. And of course the walking trail will not be completed this year. We're coming to an end with that as well. And we made a decision to go with all boardwalk, because the soil we have here is mud and marsh, so it's not like some other places where you got clay and sand. You can do without some boardwalks, but we went with all boardwalks. And hopefully we can complete this trail next year. There's been a lot of people use the trail. I have received nothing but good comments and on the trail itself and the scenic sights that you see while you're walking the trail. And of course, the remainder of the trail will be cut this year, and people can still access it through the sandbanks, but the end of the boardwalk will not take you down to sandbanks. Hopefully next year we can, or I see, we should have another 5 kilometers of boardwalk and trails in that area. So this project has created 22, 23 jobs for people in the community and also benefit the local business sector. And I would sum up this project by saying it was a great success. And hopefully, again, we can see something else in the new year. Tidy Towns were in town again this year, and Virgil's marks, I guess, out of 1,000 was 761.5, which gave us a percentage rating of 76.15. He also mentioned the Sandbanks Park and Virgil Broadcasting System, two things that were very beneficial to this community. And he mentioned the Virgil Broadcasting System for its low rates on TV and internet service. So hopefully we can improve each year, and never know, someday we may be the winner of Tidy Towns. Your policy committee is presently reviewing the Virgil snow clearing regulations, and I just want to send out a reminder to residents. Council will be installing some no parking signs around town in certain places, and if anybody don't have a parking lot to park their vehicle, well then they should proceed and bail one before the snow comes. But before you do that, just contact your town office and make sure the location is suitable. Some time ago, Council submitted the ICSP plan, and that had to be done to the provincial government for capital works projects, and this plan was accepted by the government, and a letter of response is sent back here. The mayor of the town of Virgil, ICSP submission compliance. March 31st, 2010 marked the deadline for submission of your Integrated Community Sustainability Plan, ICSP, to the Department of Municipal Affairs. Our records indicate that you have submitted a plan that it has met the requirements for a ICSP as set out in the ICSP guidelines by the Department of Municipal Affairs. I congratulate your council for its commitment to develop a plan that will form the framework to development for your community over the coming years. ICSPs are a long-term strategy plan that will be a tremendous tool in the upcoming development and sustainability of your community. I encourage your council to continue to review, modify, and amend your plan regularly to ensure that it remains relevant and useful. And that's I'm Assistant Deputy Mayor L. Companion. Now, on the capital works programs, the deadline to of receipt applications for proposals for 2011 and 2012 Municipal Capital Works Program was extended from October 31st to November 30th. That was due to Hurricane Igor. And as you're all aware, that Hurricane Igor done a lot of damage in this province, and I don't know where that's going to put us in standings on capital works funding for next year, but hopefully it won't take much of an effect to it. But of course you're all aware that the East Coast has to have a lot of work and a lot of money spent down there from the after effects of Hurricane Igor. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens on that. Small Business Week was in October the 17th to the 23rd, and I want to extend congratulations, I know it's a bit late, to all small businesses in our community and encourage them to keep plugging ahead. And we certainly appreciate what they do in our community, and of course, like I said on our earlier report, that they create a lot of jobs in our community, and I want to commend them for that. Small Business Week theme this year was Power Up Your Business, Invest, Innovate, and Grow. That was this year's theme. Now, one of our local business, Mr. Rick Braglin from Rick's Reliable, the Long Range Regional Economic Development Board. Just want to read this out. It is a pleasure for us, the Small Business Week Committee, to invite you to join us at the official kickoff of Small Business Week 2010. The theme of Small Business Week 2010, Power Up Your Business, Invest, Innovate and Grow, reflects the energy and efforts of Canadian entrepreneurs of all ages and pays tribute to their important contribution to the strength of the economy. Every year, the Small Business Week Committee highlights an entrepreneur. This year, we celebrate Rick Braglin, who is owner-operator of Reach Road Auto in Burgeo. Rick's business provides a variety of products and services to his customers. So I want to congratulate Rick as well. It goes to show, you know, that a young man started out in the business world at an early age and in a small community, and certainly he's been recognized by the Long Range Economic Development Board. And we want to congratulate Rick for his work with his business and winning the award for the small business this year. I also want to congratulate Joy's Place. It was my understanding that Joy was nominated as in the top 4 restaurant or in the restaurant industry in our province, and I want to congratulate Joy's Place as well for that. Keep up the good work. Playground equipment that was donated by the Sand and Sea Committee of 1996 to 2009. That has been installed on our playground, and I'm sure the kids from ages 2 to 5 will certainly make use of that, and we certainly appreciate what the Sand and Sea Committee has done, and we want to thank you once again very much. Also, on behalf of the town, I would like to thank the local branch of the Bank of Nova Scotia for their generous donations this month to our Girl Guide movement and minor hockey. You know, it's called being a good corporate citizen, and I want to thank them, the bank, very much for giving back to the community, especially to the youth in our community. Naming of the arena. The deadline to submit names for the arena has ended October the 29th. The Rec Commission will screen the names and select a date for a public vote to take place. And of course, that building needs a name. Now, last Sunday night, I attended a gospel group called New Wine. They had a gospel service at our Anglican church, and I thought it was very, very nice. They were so uplifting and energized. It was nice to sit there and take in such an event. And I guess I believe this community has enough musicians and singers that I want to encourage someone out there to step up to the plate and show some leadership and organize a group like those gospel singers. And I'm sure it can be done because we have the talent here to do it. And it certainly would be nice to sit and enjoy some evenings, listen to gospel music. So somebody should take the initiative and do it for your community, and of course do it for the good Lord above. Now tonight is Halloween night. The little ghosts and goblins and witches are out and about, so I want to say treat them good. And I want to say to the drivers out around our town tonight to drive safely, and to everyone, have a good Halloween. Now, Newfoundland Hydro and Newfoundland Power has a program on the go called Take Charge of Your Town Challenge. And this is all about saving energy, and by saving energy, you save money. Now, this challenge to the communities, of course, it's going to start on November 1st, 2010, and it goes for a 3-month period that ends on January the 31st, 2011. And I guess the town that conserves the most energy based on the power that was burned last year during those 3 months could win up to $10,000. So we just want to say to the public, just conserve energy for those 3 months, and you never know, if your town wins $10,000, well, then we can certainly spend it elsewhere in the town. So it's a good gesture, and I want to thank Newfoundland Power and Newfoundland Hydro for coming up with this for the communities. Invoices approved for payment at our last meeting in the amount of $41,977.68. And I guess I want to send out a word of caution to drivers now. The winter season is upon us, and transportation workers is back to work on Route 480 and the TCH. And whether you're driving on Route 480 at TCH or around town, just drive safely. Because this time of the year now you can get that black ice and frost and slippery, slushy conditions. So install your winter tires and drive safely. And a little did you know, the town of Burgeo was incorporated in 1950. Burgeo's first council from 1950 to 1954. Mr. Arnie Johnson was mayor. That's A-R-N-I-E. Mr. Philip Matthews was deputy mayor. Mr. Christopher Matthews was councillor. Mr. Teeter Banfield was councillor. Mr. Daniel McDonald, councillor. Mr. Hartley Kennel, councillor. Mr. John Ingram, councillor. Mr. Harry Fyander, councillor. Mr. Arthur Moulton, councillor. And Mr. Daniel McDonald was town clerk. And also during those 4 years, Mr. William Cosser served as town clerk. So that's a little history from your community, and those names has been engraved on plaques and placed in your town hall. On to the next time. Good night, and may God bless.
This concludes our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.